In today's video, we're going to be going over some designer fragrances that I think are absolute 10 out of 10 masterpieces. I don't think these could be any better than what they are. They're amazing, and as we go through this video, I'll explain why I think that for each one. At this point, I've tried a lot of things over the years. A lot of fragrances, especially these days, can kind of bear resemblance to each other. You know, they smell kind of similar, and that can be a little bit boring, and it feels like maybe sometimes we're getting less and less creative. However, that doesn't mean that there hasn't been some incredible releases over the years, and that's what I want to focus on. As always, there could have been many more that I could have placed in this video. I mean, this video could be way longer than what it's going to be, but I wanted to narrow it down to some of the ones that came to my mind first when, you know, thinking of this idea and kind of going through and making my selections. Couple things really quick. First, I will link everything down below if you want to do some shopping. These links will take you to discounters and you can save some money. The other thing really quickly is no discontinued fragrances. That would drastically change this. I'm not doing any of those. So with that in mind, let's start off with the first one, Dior Homme Intense, one of the best iris fragrances ever created, alongside Dior Homme Parfum, you know, old version, but again, discontinued. If that wasn't hard to get, I might be inclined to place that one in here instead, but can't get that really easily anyway. Instead, we'll go for Dior Homme Intense. This one is still amazing though. I don't want to discredit this stuff because it did help really get the ball rolling as far as sweet iris fragrances are concerned. You know, we've had so many released after this that followed in that path. It's got the iris, it has lavender, has some ambrette in here, so it has kind of a chocolatey, powdery smell, more of a powdery smell coming from the iris, and then a little bit of an aromatic lavender to give it somewhat of a freshness, but yet still definitely not a fresh scent by any means. Very powdery, very sweet, unique. Different. That's the name of the game with this one. This one has hung a lot of people up because they go into it not fully understanding what it's about. So keep that in mind. This is not what you might be used to smelling, especially by today's standards, where yes, we're going in the sweeter direction, but not in this type of way. You know, this is not the trendy type of smell that you might be used to. Surprisingly enough, this was an instant love for me. I tried it actually from a sample the very first time because I was scared to blind buy it. I actually didn't think I was going to like it at all. And I ended up loving it off the first sniff, and not long after ended up buying my first bottle, which actually it might be this bottle right here. At this point I have several, but yeah, I love this stuff. To me, it's a 10 out of 10. Nothing that I would really change about it, honestly. I think it's perfect how it is, and one that if you like this sort of thing or you have a general understanding of what you're into and this sounds right up your alley, you should definitely try it. Okay, this next one is a new release. It's not too soon, in my opinion, to start putting this one in videos. It's Dolce Gabbana The One Parfum version, 2025 release, really at the tail end of 25. I believe. And so this one to me is absolutely amazing. This is a classic redefined. You know, this is what we've been begging for years from Dolce & Gabbana, and we finally got it. I mean, basically 11 years later. Because, you know, Dolce & Gabbana The One EDT, timeless classic, smells beautiful, amazing scent. The Eau de Parfum was supposed to be, you know, kind of a stronger performing version, or at least that's kind of what everybody was hoping for. It didn't really play out that way, and it seems like as time went on, the One EDP got progressively weaker by some standard, and so it was very frustrating for a lot of people who loved how it smelled, but were not getting any sort of usable performance out of it, at least as much as that they would like to have gotten, and that's where this finally comes in. Now, it's not, you know, exactly the same as the One EDP. I've already done a full video on this, but just to keep it quick here, they've basically amplified the amber accord in here. Really made that the focus. You still pick up on that tobacco. It still very much is Dolce & Gabbana The One, but what they're doing is, again, they're putting the focal point on this amber accord, really strong, sweet amber, to the point where it almost smells a little bit like MFK Grand Soir, which is a fantastic amber scent, very expensive, but still a great one. That's kind of the direction that this goes, but it smells amazing. If you've struggled with performance from Dolce & Gabbana The One and you want a version that basically takes the amber and puts it at the star of the show, this is going to be it right here. It's very expensive right now. However, when it hits discounters, this is going to be a phenomenal purchase. And I can't wait for it to show up on discounters because I know people are holding out. They're wanting to get a bottle of this and don't want to pay $190, and I don't blame you. So hopefully within maybe a month or two, we should be seeing this one pop up. For me, Dolce Gabbana The One EDP has always been a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, even though the performance has lacked, but the One Parfum, that's next level. Okay, now let's go for TUMI 19 Degree. You know, TUMI, they were kind of an interesting brand that popped up. Now, they're big in luggage and I think some other things, so they're not a new brand, but they're newer to the fragrance space. You know, they just kind of decided, hey, let's start putting out fragrances, I guess. And, you know, to break into a, you know, a market like this, you know, you kind of have to, you know, figure something out, stand out in one way or another. And I think they managed to do that primarily with their bottle presentation. The bottles look really cool, but then you've got this, you know. I mean, really? That's awesome. You know, you got a metal cap that does actually latch into place. Is this needed? I mean, of course not. You probably don't need this cap to lock on there. It's a moving part that, you know, they're having to manufacture that probably is costing them a little bit more money. Not that they don't have the markup for this already at retail, but it's a cool detail. And I love this one in particular. This is one of my favorite TUMI scents. It's all about the raspberry, the leather, and the birch. So it's woody, it's fruity off the top with a nice leathery masculine undertone as well. Smells really good and very, very mass pleasing. I've seen this one get compared to Creed Invictus, and can you maybe see a slight similarity a little bit? Sure, a little bit from the birch maybe, but you know, and I guess instead of a pineapple, just a raspberry type of fruitiness and some bergamot off the top, sure, but it's not as cut and dry as it being labeled as another Creed Invictus clone. It's not like that. Maybe slightly similar by one means or another, but nothing crazy. You know, it still kind of does its own thing, at least in my opinion. It is actually an straight concentration too, which is nice and has amazing performance. And you can get this one on discounters for around $60, which for the money is a great scent for the price. All right, now this next one from Rabanne is Invictus Aqua. This is the 2024 revamp. Look, I know, you know, it's an Invictus fragrance, right? And you know, they have their divisiveness about all of the Invictus fragrances. You know, they're all pretty polarizing in terms of just, you know, how they're blended, how they're marketed, how they're made, etc. But for me, the Aqua has always been my favorite, and it goes all the way back to the 2016. The 2018 wasn't one of my favorites, actually. That one kind of was a bit of a letdown. They deviated off of the 2016 version a little bit more than my liking, and here's the fun thing about it. They actually made the 2018 a little bit more smooth and a little bit more refined and polished. So you're probably thinking, why don't you like that more? Because I like the unhinged, overly strong, overly synthetic smell of the 2016. That's what made that one so popular. And again, the 2018, to give them credit, they tried to improve it. And, you know, in general, I think we could all agree that it probably was the more polished version, but I like this better. And so what they did with the 2024 is they brought back the frosted glass. They wanted you to know that you're getting that OG 2016 smell back, and you do. I mean, this is pretty much impossible to tell apart between this and the 2016. It's all about the C notes and the citrus and a ton of ambroxan in here. Again, this is one of my favorites for the summer. Anything summer related, outdoors, you know, is when I like to wear this one. And I've mentioned this before, but what I like so much about it is it lasts so long and it is like water resistant. So if you are swimming or doing stuff outside in the summertime, just getting water on you, it's not going to wash away as easily as some weaker scents would. So it can actually hold up to that sort of environment a little bit more. To me, an easy 10 out of 10. I don't care how silly it sounds, you know, to say Invictus Aqua is one of my all-time favorites, but it just is. It works for me, and the fact that they brought it back and that you guys can get this older version if you missed out on it back when the 2016 was out, to me is amazing. This is my new bottle here. That's why it is pretty much full. But I do actually have a couple bottles of the 24 and then, of course, several bottles of the 2016. All right, now this next one is going to be Gucci Intense Oud. Usually going to be around $100, $110 I should say for this one. We've got Oud frankincense raspberry and leather. So another raspberry leather combination here. That combination works really well. It's kind of like honey and tobacco. You know, it's often seen together and it works great. Or like tonka bean and vanilla, you know, I don't know, it works. And so no surprise here, this one smells great. Now the oud part is gonna scare people, especially intense oud. That's kind of intimidating, right? Well, keep in mind, this is Gucci, okay? And they're still gonna produce something that is going to be wearable and mass pleasing. And they did, they hit it, you know, right on the target here with this one. And so that's what it does. It has a little bit of an oud. It's mild. It's not an intense oud, in my opinion, by any means. I think that part is a little bit misleading, maybe potentially in a negative way. However, I guess it does sound cool. But you do get plenty of sweetness with this as well. I already mentioned that raspberry and leather. That also helps to give it more of a familiar type of smell that people can connect with, and therefore will help this one to reach a wider variety of people in terms of mass. If you want a nice entry-level designer oud, I mean, this is a great place to start. I would say this and Versace Oud Noir are two fantastic designer oud scents that you could get into, and you can kind of get an understanding of what oud is and kind of a rough idea of what it smells like, and then you can branch out and go deeper from there if you want to, or maybe you decide that it's not for you or whatever it is. But to me, I think, especially for the money, this stuff is amazing. It's really, really good. It's so wearable. It's great for fall. It's great for winter time. Has amazing performance too. I love the sweetness about this one too. Just is a great scent all around. Kind of running down to the end of this video, we have Chanel Allure Homme Edition Blanche. So I love the entire lineup. I still wear Sport Eau Extreme and the regular Sport all the time. And it's actually kind of silly how much I wear those because I have other things to wear, especially in wintertime, and still find myself reaching for those. Those and Bleu de Chanel. I'm such a simple person, you know. I do not need all of these fragrances because I just gravitate towards the same things more often than not. But Edition Blanche is one that I'm not going to say is underrated because it's not. It's very well known. However, it still doesn't feel like it gets the attention or the praise that maybe it deserves. It has lemon, vanilla, sandalwood, pink pepper, and even some bergamot off the top to go along with that lemon opening. So it opens up with that lemon, goes into a sweeter smell. The lemon here is obviously it's going to be sour and bright, but it's almost kind of sugary too. It has the sugary citrus opening here, which smells really nice, and the people often describe this one as a lemon meringue pie smell, which is a fantastic way to put it. And the way I like to describe it and what it's used for me is a summer gourmand. You know, in the summertime, typically you're not wearing gourmand fragrances. It's way too hot. You know, you're wearing things that are fresh, aquatic, citrusy, but sometimes you might be craving a little bit of a sweeter scent, something that kind of maybe has a little bit more character. And this does that because it has a bit of a summer feel, but yet not going too far to where it's going to be annoying to wear in the summertime. Yes, it's sweet, and on, you know, if you pick the wrong day, if you pick a 105-degree day with, you know, the sun out and very humid, not going to be the day for it. But just a normal summer day where it's not horrendously hot and scorching out, you know, you could pull this one off and it's going to work for you. Easy 10 out of 10 for me. I love it. I think it's great, and I think if you want something for summer that's going to be a bit different and a bit out of the ordinary, you should check this one out. All right, we're going to finish this video off with a Guerlain fragrance here. I know they're technically niche, but you know, this one is designer priced. A lot of them are actually, and this one has also gone through a few bottle changes as well. But it's L'Instant de Guerlain. This is the eau de parfum version. So this is the bottle that I have. Okay, it looked like this for some time. Before it looked like this, it actually looked like this. Okay, so that's vintage L'Instant de Guerlain. This is the first bottle. Then they went to this, and now it looks like the L'Homme Ideal bottles. Okay, so the square ones. That's what this is bottled in. Now, I don't have one of those in this, and so I can't say if it's been reformulated or changed or whatever. I can actually tell you that, honestly, the difference between this and this is not very. you know, very, very minor, if at all, a difference in between these two. And people were, you know, myself included, were tracking down vintage bottles of Lidge for a long time. I just had to have one, and I got it, and I'm like, well, actually, it's not all that different. Turns out you just like the bottle better, which I do. I do like this bottle better. But, you know, this one here, it is amazing. It is so, so good. 3 notes really make up the bulk of this one here. It is going to be patchouli, it's going to be sandalwood, and cacao. So it kind of has this chocolatey, powdery smell from the cacao, has this nice, rich, strong patchouli note, giving it this kind of this masculine classiness, and then the sandalwood, nice, creamy, smooth, and kind of sweet sandalwood, which is what provides a base for everything else to lay on top of. It is amazing. There's a reason why this one is kind of well known, at least in the community, but outside of the community, probably not all that popular. It's great. And if you want something that is going to be unique for a very fair price, usually I think $80 to $90 for these on discounters, definitely go for it. To me, it's an easy 10 out of 10. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Some designer fragrances that I think are absolute masterpieces. I think these are amazing, and I think you should check them out. I will drop links down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.